Welcome everybody. I, Prakash Ranjan Sinha, on behalf of NISM, welcome you to this financial literacy program. So I'm starting with managing income and expenditure. So we'll be covering a lot of topics. This is the first topic which we'll be talking about. Now, income, all of you know what it is. It is the money what we are getting, maybe from salary, maybe from business income, maybe rent, maybe incentive, maybe bonus from our employer. And expenditure is what we expend, maybe buying groceries, fruits, vegetables, TV, fridge, all these things are there. Now, one thing I need to understand, which each one of you need to understand, is income is not totally in our hand. I do not decide what my employer is going to give me as a salary or bonus or incentive. Even businessmen do not decide. It's a function of their consumer or their buyers. Whereas when we talk of expenditure, it's totally or most of the part is in our control, what we are doing it. So income, not totally in my hand, whereas expenditure, most of the expenditure is in my hand. So keeping these things in mind, we are going to move ahead. So what we'll be covering? Nothing happens suddenly, financial equation, net worth, income, and expenses. Now let's look at the things. Nothing happens suddenly. Please, two things are very important. When I'm saying suddenly, what it means, things do not happen overnight. Let's say, for example, all of us want to become rich. And many of us think that the XYZ has become rich suddenly or in 1 or 2 days or very short. But if that was a reality, if everybody can become rich suddenly, then today we would have seen only rich people. So that's not which is going to happen always. What we do does matter in our life. And as I gave you one example that things do not happen suddenly. Let's say somebody is 50 years of age or 40 years of age. Now, if you look that person, he might have done n number of activities in all his throughout life. Maybe he has waken up early, did some exercise, ate healthy foods, did yoga, was away from all negative type of news. But the other person maybe did totally opposite of that. And if you look both the people, you will find a big contrast. So it does matter what you do. Now, everybody wants good things to happen. Nobody wants bad things to happen. But nothing good comes free. You have to put right effort. You have to give time, energy, patience. That means you have to wait for things to happen. Perseverance. And above all, the discipline. Discipline is a very, very key thing in our life. And if you look anybody, they have been disciplined. I'll give you one example of cricket. Virat Kohli, all of us know. And everybody says that he is one of the finest or best batsmen ever produced in the game of cricket, if you look from his stats record. Now, what we are saying is what he is doing on the cricket field. How much he is scoring, what's 100, how many runs he have made. But if you look the back story, he's a very disciplined guy. He's taking care of his health. He's doing exercises very regularly. And also, he's not eating any wrong foods. So discipline is very, very important in our life. Whatever we want to do, and if we want good things to happen. Of course, as we know, in our life, there are good things and bad things both. Now, it is up to us what we want to absorb. Because if we absorb or if you do good things, it is going to help us. But there are bad things also. I can give you an example. I mean, we see wine shop, beer shop. There are a lot of things which are negative for our health. So we need to protect from all the harmful things. Because whatever good we try to do, for example, we have taken 10 steps forward. But if we have taken 4 steps backward, then we have not moved 10 steps forward. We are gone back also. So we need to protect ourselves from the harmful things also. Last, shortcut approach comes at the undesirable cost. Now, everybody thinks, when we look at it, that many people have taken shortcut approach and they have succeeded in their life. I'll give you a very small example. We are traveling somewhere. So there are many ways to reach to our destination. And maybe there is a shortcut also. Now, if let's say normal route is taking me 1 hour, and if the shortcut is taking me, let's say 40 minutes, that means I'm saving 20 minutes. So that shortcut is definitely going to help me. But if everybody knows about that shortcut, then that advantage is no more there. That's first thing you need to understand, because everybody will go to that route. So whatever 20 minutes you were saving is not going to happen. Let's talk of another example, since most of you might be student, or maybe you're very young, age, life. Each one of you might be giving exam for your university, for your class. Now, you have got a textbook. And generally we see at the end of the textbook, there is also something in small notes or summarized form of it. Now, if somebody thinks by reading the summarized form, he or she is going to pass the examination, then that may help him or her in short span of time, but not always. So there are many examples which I can give you. So shortcut approach might help you, but not always. And many a times, let me tell you, shortcut approach can harm you also. I'll give you another example. Maybe tomorrow each one of you are going to work in some or the other corporates. And many people think, okay, I'm going to keep my boss happy and not do any work. Then I'm going to get a rise in my career, in my salary. Again, by the end of the day, your boss is also accountable and responsible for the work. So maybe you can appease him and he can be happy for some span of time. But ultimately, tomorrow if his boss asks him for something which maybe he is accountable and also you are accountable, and if you are not done that work properly, then yes, maybe it can harm you. So shortcut approach should always be avoided. It can help you in short sometimes, but not always. So as we were talking about, everybody wants good in their life. And so what is required to have good or best in our life? I would not say good. I would say always best. Now, these are just 3 examples. Let's say, look at the plant. I mean, today you are sowing a seed, but it's not going to become a tree next day, as we have seen. It takes some time. But in the course of that time also, what is required for that seed to become into a good plant? Sunlight. Because sunlight gives nourishment. Water, it gives nourishment. Pesticide. Pesticide is going to help save from the harmful aspects. Manures, which is going to add something on the nourishment side. Health. Now, each one of us should be having a very, very good health. Now, what are the things? Regular exercise, maybe yoga, maybe going to gym. I hope all of you are doing all those things. Healthy diet. Now, today we have got a lot of things, lot of varieties to eat. But are all things good for our health? We need to look at it. Maybe it is good for our taste. Yes, I'm relishing it. I'm enjoying it. But is it going to help me? I'll give you a very small example. Most of the young child or kid, they like chocolate. We people also like chocolate, yes. But if you go and talk to any doctor, they will always say, these chocolates are going to harm your teeth at some stages of your life. And I'll give you one example. We go to doctor very often, maybe to show any of our problem. But one thing which is very, very costly from the medical expenses point of view, whether in India or even abroad, is dental care. So it's very, very important. What is looking good for me today may not be good in future. Adequate sleep. Now, sleep is very, very important. We need to live with nature. And what does nature says? Our body is not a machine. Even machine, if you keep on using it constantly, at some stage it will have a breakdown. Now, body is also like a machine. But if you keep on using it without giving it a rest, and not only rest, giving it an adequate rest, then it's not going to help you. Because it's not the body which is functioning. Let me tell you. If I'm saying something, maybe you're feeling that, okay, my mouth is saying something or my lips are moving. But ultimately, it's my brain which is behind each and every action what we do. Now, if your brain is not going to get a proper rest, if your mind is not peaceful, then definitely you are not going to deliver what you really want to do. So you need to have a very, very adequate sleep. Relationship. Now, all of us are born in a family. We have got parents. We have got brothers and sisters. We have got friends, colleagues, maybe personal, maybe professional. So we have got a lot of relationships which we are doing at it. Now, in order to be successful in our life, both personal as well as professional, we need to take proper care of each and every relationship. Every relationship, starting from parents to children, to brothers and sisters, to colleagues, to neighbor, does have an implication in our life. So relationship has to be taken care if we really want to have a good life. Now, finally, we are going to talk about the financial well-being, because ultimately this topic all is about financial well-being. Now, each one of us are earning, or we intend to earn. Now, anybody who is earning or who is going to be a future earner, they want to earn good. They want their money to grow, their salary to grow, their business income to grow. So, of course, earning, the more you earn, you will be better financially. Control expenses. Now, this is, as I told you earlier, to a large extent is in our hand. Because today, when we look at it, the expenses are quite a lot. Maybe if I compare during my grandparents' time or even my parents' time, they were not having that much of expenses. I can give you a few examples. For example, mobile phone. They were not having mobile phone at that point of time. They were not going for pizza and burger. Malls, multiplexes, all those things were not there. So today, if you look at the expenses point of view, there are a lot of avenues where you can spend any amount of money. But again, are all expenses important? We need to understand that, and we need to control it. If you really want a good financial well-being, save regularly. Now, this whole aspect or objective of financial literacy is to help everybody to prosper in their life financially. And in order to have a financial prosperity, in order to have more money at their end, they need to save whatever they are earning, and they need to also invest it properly. So both saving and investment, both are in one line. Whatever you are earning, you need to save something out of it, and you need to invest it very, very properly. So if you look at it, all the things are in one line. You earn, you spend, then you need to save something out of whatever you are earning, and you need to invest. So it has to be followed very, very systematically. Earning, spending, saving, investing, and borrowing are interrelated. Now, many of you might be thinking how I'm saying it is interrelated. Because earning, I'm getting from somebody else. Spending, I'm doing it. Investing in some asset, some product. But these are interrelated. Why I'm telling you? Ultimately, by the end of the day, if you look at any of these 5, 6 aspects, it's all money. I'm earning money. I'm spending money. I'm saving money. I'm investing money. And I'm borrowing also money. So it's all money, money, money. Now, if I am doing, money is one thing which I know through which I can spend, purchase, invest. Why I'm saying interrelated? Because whatever we are doing with this money, we are doing either for myself or for my family. For example, let's say my son wants good, which I think everybody wants. Everybody wants their children to be getting best of education. Now what you are doing? Let me correlate it. I am earning. I want a good earning, good money at my end. Why? So that I'm having more money to spend. So as we were talking about all these 5 aspects: earning, spending, saving, investing, and borrowing. And as I told you, everything is earning. The more I earn, I think, yes, all of us know, I'm having more money at my end to spend or to save or to invest everything. Now, saving and spending, now it works on a very, very opposite direction. Because, for example, let's say if I'm earning 50,000, if I'm spending 40,000, then I'm saving 10,000. But if I take it another example, I am earning 50,000, but if I am spending 60,000, then of course it's minus negative. I'm not saving anything. So what I'm doing, I am short of 10,000. Now, this short of 10,000 is what is borrowing. Now, if you look at it, as I was saying, so everything is interrelated. It's not, when we look at it from actual real life experience, we think these are all different. No, this is not different. Because we are talking about the implication of money in our life. So everything is interrelated. If you are able to spend less, then of course you are able to save something. But if you are able to spend more, there is no saving. In fact, there is more expenditure. And how you are going to meet that? Maybe you have to borrow it. For example, let's say you go and do shopping. So what do? Use credit card. Ultimately, what is happening? You are borrowing only. Maybe we think, yes, we have not borrowed money, but ultimately you have borrowed liabilities. That means whatever extra purchase you have done using the credit card, you have to pay it. Now let me give you another example. All of us buy kirana from grocery shop, fruits, vegetables. Not today, we are living in a very, very competitive age. Even the kirana shop or the fruit seller or the vegetable seller, they will give you and they will say you, sir, madam, pay me later. So whatever you are taken it, ultimately you have to pay it. So all things are interrelated. Please remember it. It's not different. Everything is interrelated. Now, as I told you, spending and saving works in an opposite direction. If I am able to spend more, definitely I am going to save more. And if I am going to spend more than what I am earning, then of course I am shortfall. Maybe I have to meet through borrowing. Saving and investment, these move in a same direction. But now here the another point is, if whatever I have saved, if I have not invested properly, then maybe I'm not going to get the same result. So we need to look at from a very, very holistic perspective. And as shown to you, if earning is more than spending, then you save. And this saving has to be channelized in a right direction through right and proper investment. But if the spending is more than the earning, then there is a shortfall and you end up borrowing. Maybe you end up in getting into a debt. Now we were talking about saving and investment. Now the question is, for what we are saving? Of course, we are saving to buy something, to consume something, or to do any activity which is going to help me in my life today, tomorrow, near future or distant future. So what we do? We buy assets. Asset means something which I am owning it and which has got some value. Now we want betterment in our life. We have saved money. So what I'm going to do with that money? Let's say if the money is lying idle in my bank account, is it going to help me? No. That money has to be properly channelized toward right and meaningful perspective. So we buy assets. Now this is something very important. Asset is something which I'm owning it, which I own it. Why I'm owning it? Because it is going to help me in my life. somewhere in my life, maybe today, tomorrow, maybe distant future. It is going to help maybe my family members. So when we talk about assets, there are three: financial, physical, and lifestyle. Financial asset is something which you are buying something which is more or less called investment. For example, so when we are talking about financial assets, it's an investment. Let's say FD. It could be bank FD, it could be corporate FD, mutual fund. Stocks or shares. So these are some of the examples of financial assets. What are physical assets? Physical assets are, let's say, house, which we stay in or purchase. Maybe car. I can put it car. So these are the physical assets. And then there is a lifestyle assets. Now, physical assets and lifestyle assets are to a large extent correlated, or maybe many of them can be overlapped. But there is a difference. Lifestyle assets, which I'm purchasing for consuming. And whatever I'm doing it, purchasing it, the price of that thing over a period of time deteriorates, goes down. Why? Because of the depreciating factor. Why depreciation? Because there will be wear and tear. Wear and tear. I can give you one example. All of you are using mobile phone or must be having TV, refrigerator. Now these are all lifestyle assets. So whatever you are purchasing today, at some stage of life, maybe after 5 years or 7 years, you replace it. So let's say, again, when I'm giving the example, car comes in a lifestyle asset, whereas house can be both physical as well lifestyle. So we need to differentiate it: financial, physical, and lifestyle. Now within physical asset also, maybe some assets there could be which are appreciating in value and some which are not appreciating in value. For example, we have shown in house and car. So when we are talking about investment, why first of all investment is required? Now it's very, very important thing for each one of you to understand. Why investment is required? And there are two words which you can see: appreciating. And what do we mean by appreciating? Appreciating means the value is going up. That means if it was today like this, the value is going to go up over a period of time. Now, why we want appreciating asset? Because there are two things in our life. Money is the most important asset, which I have seen it, because whatever we do, whatever we buy, whatever you consume, of course, it is through money only. So what money I'll be requiring in future? Do I know it? I don't know it. Why? Because there are two things. Wherever I have invested, let's say I have invested 1 lakh rupees today, I am going to use that money at some stage of my life. But when I'm going to use that money, whether I'm going to buy any of these things, physical, lifestyle, anything which I'm going to buy it, the price will not be the same what it is today. I mean, just look at it. If you want to purchase a house, what was the price maybe 10 years back? What was it 20 years back? And what it could be maybe 10 years ahead, 20 years ahead. So whatever we are doing it, it's all money. We'll be using that money for some purpose. And since we know the price, the value of all those things, whether it is linked to lifestyle, physical, it is going to be more. I want my money to grow. That's why investment is all about owning appreciating asset where the value is going up. So this was asset, what we owe, that belongs to me. Now let's talk of liabilities. as we have seen earlier, we are borrowing. Now, not every borrowing is bad, let me tell you. Because whatever we are borrowing from anybody, we have to pay back or refund that money at some stage of our life. That means this is we are owing to others. For example, I have purchased a 2 crore flat where I have taken 1 crore 50 lakh from the bank. So 2 crore is the price of the asset, and I have taken 1.5 crore from bank. This is a liability. Now, when I look at the asset which I am owning is of course 2 crore, but I am having 1.5 crore which I owe to the bank. Now, we borrow money because we have got a lot of expenses. Some borrowings are avoidable. Some borrowings, maybe it becomes a part of your necessity. Now, it's very, very important what liability I should be having on my head, what borrowing I should be going for. For example, let's say, again, if somebody is going for some vacation, now should he be borrowing from the bank or NBFCs? Because if you are borrowing, you have to pay it at some stage. And if you are borrowing more than what you are earning, then maybe you are not able to save and invest. So some borrowings are avoidable, which is not going to help you in creation of wealth. But some borrowing, maybe it is a requirement. For example, purchase of house, car. So whatever you are doing borrowing, you need to understand borrowing should be meant for asset creation. Is the borrowing for consumption? Maybe to some extent, okay, fine. But again, there has to be some limit. So whenever we are doing borrowing, we have to be very clear. Borrowing should be within limit. That's one thing. Liability should be within limit. Liability, whatever we are borrowing or paying, it should be well within my paying capacity. Now, what is net worth? First of all, you must be hearing these words, net worth. It is nothing but expressing somebody how rich that person is. So today, if you look at it, we can say Ambani net worth is this much, Adani net worth is this much. So what is net worth? Net worth is assets minus liability. And as I told you, asset, what you own. This belongs to me. Liability, which what I have to pay to some others. So maybe even if my asset is, let's say 10 crore, and if my liability is 8 crore, then my net worth is 2 crore. Now, this is a very, very important thing for us to understand. Why I'm telling you? Now, many of our lifestyle assets which we create through borrowing, maybe taking loan from bank, consumer loan, or all those things are there. These assets, car has got a value, but car has got a depreciating value, which we have seen it. So if I'm taking more borrowing, even if I say I'm having a car worth 20 lakh, but if I have taken that 20 lakh from bank, then I can boast that my asset is worth 20 lakh, but at the same time, my liability is also 20 lakh. So in this case, just taking this example, maybe my net worth is 0. So that's why it is very, very important that net worth should be positive, not negative. Very, very important. It should not be negative. So if the asset is more than the liability, as I've given you in this example, but again, if I just reverse the example, and let's say 10 crore is your asset and 18 crore is your liability, then in this case, your net worth is minus 6 crore. Now, it's a very, very important thing for us because today we are living a life where we can get money from anybody for purchasing asset. But our net worth is positive or negative. That's very, very important for us to understand. So this is another example. Trip cost is, let's say, 60,000. You have spent 40,000 through credit card. Now, this 40,000 you have to pay at some stage of life. Maybe 1 month, second month. If you delay it, then you are going to pay interest over it also. So, if you are having, let's say, this much, assuming that this was cash you were having at that time, but if you have spent 40,000, whether at that point of time and maybe even later also, then your net worth has gone down. Same way as I gave you example of, let's say you are purchasing a car worth 5 lakh. You have used your money, 2 lakh cash, 3 lakh you have taken loan. So it looks both are equal, because if 3 plus 2 is same. But let's look at it. What will happen? This car which you purchased at 5 lakh, the value is slowly going to get depreciated. If you are going to sell that car, let's say after 6 months or a year, this will not be the same 5 lakh. It will be much lesser than this. And the other thing is, of course, you have to pay this. The 2 lakh which you used it for purchasing the car, you cannot invest it now because you have already used it. But if this 2 lakh which you could have invested it, maybe it would have grown to 3 lakh. So we need to understand that different transactions do impact on the net worth. More the borrowing, more the liability, net worth will go down. More the investment, net worth will go up. Now let's talk of income. So it could be being employed somewhere, getting salary income. It could be doing some business income. So salary income, business income. Now we divide income into 2 parts, active and passive. Active is something what you are working for, which is salary. Let's say you are getting bonus from your employer. You are getting, let's say, incentive from your employer. These are all active income. What is passive income? You have made some investment. Now that investment is also growing. The value has appreciated. 1 lakh has become 3 lakh. 1 lakh has become 3 lakh. Or you are getting some return over it. This is called passive income. Maybe you are owning some flat. You have given it on rent. So you are getting some rental income. So active and passive, these are 2 forms of income. Now as per our tax law, various form of income fall under taxable or non-taxable. This is as per the law of our country. So when we are talking about taxable and non-taxable, so we need to understand what falls under taxable and what falls under non-taxable. So on any given day, we can know from what are the taxable in our salary income. There is already a tax slab. Income tax slab is there. Rent, there is some structure. So this taxation part is decided by the government, Ministry of Finance. Now never ever presume that whatever is today will remain tomorrow also, because these things keep on changing. Let's say, for example, when we are talking about salary, we all of us know there is an income slab, and as per the income slab, taxation are there. Maybe this is valid for current year. Maybe next year this can change also. So always keep a watch on these things, because this can change. So even non-taxable also, don't presume that what is non-taxable today will not get taxed tomorrow. So one thing is very important. Whenever we are talking about what is taxable and non-taxable income, anybody who is earning income has to be watchful, because there can be changes at any time. And of course, what is important is whatever income you are getting, ultimately you have to pay the tax. And it's not the gross income which matters to you, because gross income is the income what you are getting. But what matters to you is gross income is the income what you are getting. But what matters to you is the net income. Net income is gross income minus tax which you are paying. Now let's talk of expenses. Now, expenses can be also categorized in different ways. Fixed, variable, and discretionary. For example, let's say I'm paying a rent of 20,000 every month. I can say that's a fixed expenses. What could be variable? All of us are using mobile phone. So sometimes maybe I'm paying 500 rupees, maybe sometimes I've overused it, I'm paying 7,000 or 8,000. So this could be variable expenses. What is discretionary expenses? Discretionary expenses is something which you are using as per your consumption or as per your needs. For example, let's say you're going to a restaurant and having a good lunch or dinner with your family. So that amount, maybe how many times you're going? Maybe once, twice, thrice in a month. So that is an discretionary expenses. You're going and watching a movie. So today, if you look at it, expenses can fall under anything. Now again, it's very important, as I told you earlier, this is something which is in our hand, expenses. Because when I told you initially, income is not 100% in our hand, but expenses is something which is in our hand, to a large extent, I would say. Now, if you look at the expense structure of any family, in today's life, you will find most of the expenses are happening at this side. Variable, as I told you, for example, let's say mobile, electricity, maybe water bill. So this is something also, but maybe it depends upon how much you are consuming. Whereas fixed is something which is fixed. For example, let's say rental. Maybe you are paying some school fee for your child. So maybe the fee is 2,000 rupees per month that you have to pay. That's fixed. But variable is something which is again something as per your consumption. And discretion again as per my need, my wish list, my requirement. And when I look at the structure of any family, today I'm finding that this is one something which is growing very fast. And you don't need to do any research for that. You just look at your own family or maybe near about, and you can see what were their expenses last 5 years, last 10 years, last 15 years. And you'll find the maximum growth in expenses has been in discretionary. Now, expenditure and saving works in opposite direction, as I told you. Because earning, assuming more or less it's constant. So the more you spend, the lesser you are able to save. And lesser you are able to save, the lesser you are to invest. So now it is very, very important how you manage your expenses to save more. So what you should be doing? There has to be expense management. And the first and most important thing is budgeting. What is budgeting? For example, let's say somebody is earning 1 lakh a month. Now he knows what are his expenses, which can fall under fixed, variable, and discretionary. Now, fixed is something which you have to go for it. You can't do much about that. But fixed expenses can also be broken into variable, if it is possible. If it is possible, you can break it down. Variable, again, it depends upon your consumption. And discretionary is something where you need to work about it. So when I'm talking about budgeting, what do I mean? One needs to allocate how much money the family wants to spend on different expenditure. So budgeting is very, very important. Now, how I will be doing it? Okay, boss, where I need to cut down my expenses. So for that, need and important is a must. Now, whatever we are spending, you know, is must for us. For a survival, let's say, for example, we need eatables, rice, vegetable, fruits, milk, all these things we know it. It's must for us. It's important for us. But when I'm talking about eatables, yes, I need food to eat. But is it important that I should be buying from outside only? Is it pizza important for me or burger important for me? Or do I need to go to restaurant very often and eat there. So again, I need to understand these things very clearly. What is important, what is not important. Now, there is a very simple formula which I will tell you. What is important, what is must, and what is not important, what is not must. Anything, if I don't do it, it is going to harm me. That is important must. For example, if I don't eat, I know what's going to happen to me. It's must for us. If I'm not going to have electricity in my home, I know what's harm it is going to bring. Because if I know water is being supplied in my house, I know what harm it is going to bring. So whenever I'm looking at the expenses, various expenses which I'm meeting, what is important, what is must, or what is not important, not must for me, the only way to look at it, if I don't do it, if I don't have it, then I'm going to get harmed. If it is not going to bring any harm to me, then it's not important. For example, if I don't eat pizza, it's not going to harm me. If I don't go to a restaurant, it is not going to harm me. If rather than going 5 times outside eating in a restaurant, if I go make it 2, I don't go 3 times, it is not going to harm me. So that's a very, very simple way to look at it. You don't need to put too much of your brain, just understand from the importance and must aspect. And then you can do budgeting. Then you can decide what you will do. Let's say, for example, so I'm putting it, let's say this is expense A. This is expense B. This is expense C. This is expense D. So you go on up to, let's say, Z. Simple. And I'm going to look at every expense from 2 aspects, from important and not important. And I give you a very simple rule. If I don't do it, if I don't have it, it's going to harm me. That's important must. Now, eating is important, as I told you, so I need to have something. But where? That's another thing. So I need to understand one thing. The second thing is how much I'm spending. So once I'm very clear, must or important, let's say not must, not important, so I can easily know about these things. Now, within must and important also, please remember, must and important also, I can do some rationalization. And for not important, not must, that's again depending upon, maybe I want to, so let's say, as I told you, discretionary expenses fall in that. I can give you an example. Let's say watching a movie in a mall, in a multiplex, or maybe having 20 apps, Netflix, Prime Video, Z5. So today you need to understand, today we are becoming a very, very consumer-led market. There are emergence of lot of companies, industries. Everybody is selling their product or services. But is everything important for me? So my question is not whether you should be going for it or not going for it. My question is very simple. I need to save. This is very, very important. And for that, if I'm not able to save, then I need to do budgeting like this. So again, what is I want, desire, and luxuries, good to have, discretion, I can decide from this. So as we were talking about in our earlier slides, budgeting and what is important and what is must and what is not important must. So I'll extend further in that, because investment is all about expense management, let me tell you. And the very beginning I told you, income is not in our hand to a large extent, whereas expenses is something which is in our hand. So expense management is a key. Anybody who does his expense management very correctly will be able to save some money and of course then channelize that money for a right type of investment. So as we were talking about, budgeting is a very important thing. And when you are budgeting, how you should be going about? The first step which I told you, what is important, what is must, or what is not important, what is not must. So important and not important, we have already told, and it's very simple. If I do it, it's going to help me. If I don't do it, it's going to harm me. It's very simple. So I'm looking more from harm, not help. For example, I'll give you mobile phone. All of us know it. If I buy it, it's going to help me. I know it. If I buy a mobile phone with more features, it's going to help me more. So that's very clear. But I will look at it from another perspective. If I don't buy it, or if I buy a mobile with a lesser feature, maybe relevant for me, then it's not going to harm me. That's the thing. So we are not going to look this more from positive perspective, but we are going to analyze it more from the negative perspective. So important, if I don't do it, if I don't have it, it is going to harm me. So here the key word is harm. If I don't do it, if I don't have it, it's not going to harm me. It's very clear. Now let's talk of another thing is urgent and not urgent. It's very clear. Urgent means now, today. Not urgent, maybe I can wait. Now I'll give you one example which is very, very important. Generally, we confuse between important and urgent. And I've seen many people in day-to-day life, they think urgent is important. No, it's not that thing. I'll give you an example. There is a notice before a shop. Last day for sale. 20% discount. Generally, we see it, all these things. Now, we think it is urgent, of course, because it's the last day. And what we do? We go inside and we buy things, maybe which is not required also. Now, if I'm giving importance to urgent and not to important, what mistake I have done? I have spent my money, my hard-earned money, in buying something which maybe I don't require it. Just because there is a notice, is a last day for sale. Now, in our country, we see this discount sale comes how many times in our year? I mean, very soon we'll be finding something happening on a Republic Day, then Holi, then maybe Independence Day, Diwali, Dashahara, Christmas. So it's not that it is, if I miss today, I'm going to lose something which is I cannot purchase it later on. Now, another thing which I've seen it again, buy two, one free. Again, we think, oh, I'm getting something at a cheaper cost because I'm buying two things. So I'm getting one more additional. Fine, yes, you're getting it. But do you really require it? So if you start analyzing each of our expenses, then we'll see where we are going wrong. And the best thing is, any family, what they should do, they should sit and they should analyze what they have spent last 10 days, 20 days, or a month. Or maybe they can make some diary, whatever they are spending, they can just note it down, what they have done it. And maybe they can look at it. Then they will realize maybe they have bought something which was not so important, but they unnecessarily thought it's important. Maybe this was something which was not so urgent. It could have been deferred, but they have bought it. So the best way is, once you have analyzed from important, not important. So for example, let's say if it is important and if it is urgent, you have to buy it. For example, there is no vegetable at home. You have to buy it. There is no rice, no milk. You have to buy it. There's no choice because it is urgent also. That's meant for your good health. But if it is not important, buy if you have some money. And as I gave you example, just because there is a discount sale, that does not mean I'm going to go and buy it. If I'm not having money, no, I can wait for another discount sale to happen. Let's look at it, not important and not urgent. I mean, it's neither important, not urgent. You can ignore it. Now, important and not urgent. Plan to buy it later. Now, this is a very, very important aspect. Now, since we are talking about investment, I would like to bring this concept on the investment side. For example, everybody wants the best of education for their child. The child is just born, maybe 1 or 2 years old. This higher education is going to happen when the child is 18 years of age. So if the child is 1 year of age, let's say, and the higher education is going to start after 18 years, you have got 17 years left. Now, if I look from the important aspect, is it important to have the best of education? Definitely. Why? Because again, it's a responsibility of the parents to give the best of education to their child. It's their responsibility. And as I told you, I will look from this perspective. If I don't do this, it's going to harm me. So if my child is not so well qualified or not having the best of education in this competitive world, then of course he's not going to get the best of the job. And if he's not going to get best of the job, we all know his income will not be that great. So from the important aspect, of course, it is very, very important. But it is urgent. Is he going to get admission in a premier management college or engineering college or medical college tomorrow only? No, because you have got 17 years left. So what you are going to do? Plan to buy later. So here the word is buy, please. But plan to invest today. So I would change it and I would write it plan for investment today. And if you look at it, I have put today in capital. Why? Because the more you delay, which we are going to see it in our future examples, the more you are going to not create that corpus. So plan today only. And once I know this thing, I have to start investment today only, then I need to save something. And that's where again, now I'm going to look at it. Yes, I want to spend something. Is it must, important, or not must, not important? Let's say, for example, again, my family and I enjoy going and eating in a restaurant. Yes, maybe we get happiness. It's a discretionary expenses. Yes, but it is helping me to remove some mental blockage, spending some time with my family, enjoying outside. But the question is, how many times I'm going? Maybe I'm going every weekend. And if I'm not having money to invest, maybe I can go twice a month. And even if I'm able to save, let's say, 2,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees, that I can use it here. I can use it here. So it's very, very important. Budgeting, one, what to spend, where to spend, how much to spend, what is important, what is not important. All these things are very, very important. What is urgent, what is not urgent, and so complete clarity has to be there. List down all those things. And then also how much you can save. So let's say even if your list, I'm spending, let's say, 1,000 rupees on eating outside. If I'm able to save 500 rupees, and if I add it for the whole month, I will see that I'm able to save maybe 5,000 rupees. Now, many people who have got this complaint, no money is left to invest. You have got a way where you can save and invest. So what are the key takeaway from this session? Nothing comes free in this world. Nothing comes free. Everything has got a cost. And when I'm talking about cost, does not come free. Cost is in terms of time, sincere effort, discipline, being meticulous, right planning, saving. All these things will come. Overspending leads to borrowing, of course. There is a proverb in Hindi, पाँव उतना ही पसारिए जितनी लंबी चादर हो. So never go for spending. Be within your limits. That's a very, very important thing. Many times you must have seen, because all of us are very big fan of cricket matches, and we have seen batsmen coming and hitting the ball. Now all of us, when the batsman hits sixes, we are very happy. The whole stadium cheers him. But when you look from batsman to batsman, you will find it was very easy for Virender Sehwag. Maybe it was not so easy for Rahul Dravid. Is it clear? So each one knows his limitation. That's very, very important. How much I'm earning and how much I should be spending. It should not happen that today when I'm seeing my neighbor or my friend or anybody or my relative spending something for their requirement, I also need to see how much they are earning ultimately. So overspending, of course, it will lead to borrowing. I should not be copying what others are doing. My life is my life. My earning is my earning. My expenditure is my expenditure. And my life is not for 1 day, 2 day, 3 days. No, it is for 70 years, 80 years. Still I've survived. Every day I want to live very happily with prosperity. So ultimately, all this planning of expense management has to be done by me only. So very, very important. Overspending should not be done. Otherwise, it is going to lead you to borrowing. You will be living a life on debt, nothing saved for investment, and it's not going to help you. And it's going to decrease the net worth. Now, when I'm talking about net worth, another thing which we need to understand. Today, again, we are living in a very, very practical world. Let's be very honest. And till you are alive on this earth, most of the people value how much you have. Unfortunately, let me tell you, when we are living being on this earth, people do not see our qualities. Only after that person has gone out, has died, then we talk about his virtues. But till you are alive, maybe people look more what you own, what you have. So this is a very, very important thing in our life. And let's say, for example, if we come to know, there is Mr. X who is under huge debt. What is the impression which we carry in our mind? How many of us would like to become his friend? Because this will be in our back of our mind. Oh my God, that person is in debt. He keeps on borrowing. So better to stay away from him. So even if you lose your friends and relative also, in case you are in debt or in a borrowing. So always should not be there, because this is not good, this is harmful. So which is better? Of course, there must be saving. Expense will be there, but important is expense management. This is very, very important. Which expenses to go for, which to avoid, where I can rationalize. So all these things are very, very important. Create financial asset. Now this is very, very, very important. Why? Because financial assets, I'm investing 1 lakh today in any investment, whether FD or stocks or mutual fund. Ultimately, it is going to help me for building wealth. That means this money is going to appreciate. And I can use that money future in my life for any of my expenses. Maybe to meet my expenses of my higher up education of my child, for marriage, post-retirement, it could be anything. Budgeting and prioritization of expenses is very important, which is, again, as I told you, it's a part of your expense management. So I hope you are very clear on the income, expenses, and all other things. And now we are again going to talk about saving, how to be done, and investment, and all other things in coming chapters. So I thank you for your invaluable time for this session. And I want not only to learn this from the academic point of view, but apply all these concepts or whatever I have talked in your real life. Assess, analyze within your family. Share it with your friends, relatives, family members, so that everybody gains from this very, very good exercise which is being done by NISM on the financial literacy side. So thanks to all of you.